Before we begin things today, I'm aware that for some of you, this is sort of a complicated experience. The moment you walk into an award ceremony, the first thing that you wonder is, have I won an award? And then you desperately search for your parents. And if your parents are not in the room, your calculus about the entire evening, the entire afternoon begins to change. And perhaps you actually begin to fret about who you are and what you've done with your year. And some of you will actually walk out of this award ceremony 90 minutes from now, and you'll say, do I need to change something? Do I need to be something different as a consequence of having not received an award? I realize this is a strange way to start an award ceremony, but I think it's important. Whether or not you have a tiny piece of paper with your name on it and the name of a virtue or a subject or Cavalier of the Year, whether you have that or not, 90 minutes from now, you will still be you. The things that make you what you are, that define you, your virtue, or lack thereof, will still be intact. You will not fundamentally be transformed as a consequence of what happens over the next hour and a half. And in fact, for those students that are honored, when they come up, I hope that the thought that occurs to you is not, my gosh, they are so smart, or goodness, they are so athletic, or they are so popular, but instead is something like, I love that person. We are all improved by their presence. They are the kind of person that, were they to go missing one day, we would feel that a part of us is just sort of absent, like only half of us is at school. We want to celebrate at Atlanta Classical. It's not just sort of exceptional displays of intelligence or athleticism, because I can think of many examples of students who gain so-called popularity as a consequence of actually just being tremendously mean and sort of intimidating, or very smart to the point of silencing everyone else in the room the moment that they speak. Instead, I want for us to celebrate today virtue and the things that we love most about each other. I want to share briefly just this quotation from East of Eden, a text that a number of teachers have read this school year, and I'll start the award ceremony officially with this sentiment. So this is what John Steinbeck writes. He actually is talking about three people, all of whom have recently died. He says, the first was the richest man of the century who, having clawed his way to wealth through the souls and bodies of men, spent many years trying to buy back the love he'd forfeited, and by that process performed great service to the world, and perhaps had even more than balanced the evils of his rise. I was on a ship when he died, but when the news was posted on the bulletin board, everyone received it with pleasure. There was a smart man. He was smart as Satan, who, lacking some perception of human dignity and knowing human weakness and wickedness, used his special knowledge to warp men, to buy them, to bribe, threaten, seduce, until he found himself in a position of great power. He clothed his motives in the name of virtue, and when this man died, the nation rang with praise, and just beneath with gladness that he was dead. But there was a third man, who perhaps made many errors in performance, but whose effective life was devoted to making men brave and dignified and good in a time that they were poor and frightened, and when ugly forces were loose in the world to utilize their fears. This man was hated by the few. When he died, people burst into tears in the streets and their minds wailed, what can we do now? How can we go on without him? It seems to me that if you or I choose between two courses of thought or action, we should remember our dying and try to live so that our death brings no pleasure to the world. When I think about the people that we have loved at this place, when I think about Mr. and Mrs. Flynn departing the school at the end of the year, many of you will feel misshapen as a consequence of their absence. When I think about students that graduated last year or in years prior, Kate Berry, Stavros Kouvaras, Isabella Hines, you're in the room, Jonathan, this entire senior class, we feel sort of lost by your departures. This is the thing that we are actually working toward as a community, to make each other so essential to each other that your absence, your loss would be missed. Again, I understand this is an odd way to begin an award ceremony, but I think it's an important framing lest we become obsessed about this race to win the next award. That's not what you're actually moving toward, and it's not the thing that promises meaning in your life. How the people respond who are sitting next to you when you win your award, that's a better sign. And I expect for that for most of you, it will be uproarious applause and celebration because you are loved in this place and you are loved by this place. So with that, we will kick off this award ceremony, and I'll turn things over to our very first presenter, Mr. Clausen.
All right, good afternoon. I have the privilege of announcing the 3 math awards to kick things off. And I hope students, you recognize in the things that I say, some of the reasons why we study math, the order and beauty and wonder of it, because each of our winners embodies these remarkably well. For our teacher's choice, please join me in congratulating Sophia Hines. The teachers have this briefly to say about her, that Sophia finds joy in learning, and she wants others to find that same joy. Her sense of wonder and curiosity are infectious, and you can't help but see the excitement that she has to learn new things and to help others learn new things. So thank you very much again, Sophia. For courage in mathematics, please join me in congratulating Lovey Welcher. Lovey, your teachers and I have seen firsthand the amount of work that you put into math and the struggles that you go through and the extra mile that you're willing to take. Who knows how many times we met at Brass and over the summer and over lunches to make sure that you understood things. And that shows discipline, and that shows courage, and that shows that you long to see that beauty in math, even when it's not there clearly in front of you at first. You dig until you find it, and that is commendable. Thank you, Lovey. And finally, for excellence in mathematics, please join me in congratulating Jack Williams. The idea of balance features prominently in mathematics. We balance both sides of an equation. We learn to add and then learn to subtract. We multiply, then divide. We differentiate, then we integrate. And it's all in an effort to keep things well ordered. And Jack, you're not only good at math, you're an embodiment of this well-ordered soul that we hope that math hopes to inculcate in everybody. You're a master at not only learning processes, you can perceive big picture because you pay attention to the little details. You balance your studies with your extracurriculars. You balance a striving to be the absolute best with a humility that even when you're not, you can share in the joy, like Mr. Andrew was saying, of the successes of your classmates. And it's truly wonderful to see. So join me one more time in congratulating Jack on his well-earned award.
Hello, everyone. I have the honor of being able to present our history awards this year for the high school. Just kind of give an idea of what we do for history at ACA. I think one way that we talk about is that history is not just, I think you probably always hear the phrase that history is learning from the past to not make the same mistakes in the future. And it becomes this kind of like utilitarian, like self-help how-to guide of the world today of like, oh, we just got to learn so we don't make the same mistakes. But as many of our students learn that the history is riddled with these things and that it's very hard to avoid them. And so I think when thought of properly, history is not simply another form of knowledge. It's a way of knowing. And history at its core is the human activity of humbling ourselves to understand other people who lived in different times in alien cultures with values different than our own. And all of these recipients display this quality in some measure. So first of all, for our Teacher's Choice Award, have the honor of giving this one to Elizabeth Adams. On the other side over there, as always, modest, hiding with the middle schoolers over there. Elizabeth is a student that I got to teach in 5th grade. And what's been amazing about Elizabeth is I've been able to watch her in 5th grade be a bright, intelligent student, but really grow and mature into someone who treats the material seriously. She's not just there for the grade. In 5th grade, you have a good memory. I think that's what makes you a great student, is I can remember things. And I can spit out facts really fast. But Elizabeth is someone who I've seen in my class grow as someone who wants to know things, wants to understand them, is asking questions about it. And the questions she asks and the insights she offers shows that it's someone who's really mulling over the subject, mulling over the ideas. And you see, even though she's selective with when she speaks in class, her writings display a deep understanding that I love it when she gets to share with everyone. So Elizabeth, congratulations. Our next award is a student that I did not get to teach in 5th grade because he was not with us in 5th grade. This award goes to Mr. Caden McCrary. Caden came to Caden, last year, your first year? Last year, so even 2 years has not stopped Caden from being a rising history star. Routinely improves the quality of class with his contributions, with his questions, with his unique insights. Again, that's not just spitting out the facts, but he's making connections between events. He's someone who, in the 11th grade, do you see a student really like pick one thing and just improve the whole quality? Like what they're producing at the beginning is different than the end. And Caden's someone who just over the span of the year, just little comments I make on his papers, he's just changes the response, and over the course of the weeks, he's making it better. He's taking my insight, he's taking my recommendations, and just creating really thoughtful answers. He found me after class the other day, and he goes, "Mr. Earl, I was doing the reading the other night, and I was just, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Who's got a harder presidency, FDR with the New Deal or Abraham Lincoln with the Civil War?" There's a lot of like, the fact that he was just thinking outside of class, like this is struggling me, and I really want your insight on this. Just someone who I really respected getting to know and admired his courage and his thoughts in history. So give it up for Caden McCrary. And the Department Award for Outstanding History Student, I am proud to announce, is Clegg Hauser. As with Elizabeth, Clegg is a student that I had the joy of teaching before. While there's obviously natural intellectual growth that you experience between being, 11 and 17, obviously, Clegg in particular has showed a growth in the depth of his understanding and in the depth of his curiosity. Beyond, again, simply knowing just dates, events, ideas, which he does. Whenever he answers questions, you see that he is all the time connecting the underlying events, seeing the themes, seeing the patterns and the trends in history. And I think most importantly, as I talked about what history is, Clegg is doing like the real historical work of understanding on a human level the people we study and try to understand what motivates them, understand their fears, their joys, their sorrows, their desires, and to really have that human activity of going back in time and trying to have a connection, a relationship, an interaction with people from a different time instead of just standing. We read a book at the beginning where it talks about how we should view history. Instead of standing on this pedestal in the 21st century looking down, Clay does the historical work of trying to know the people, know the events. On all my lesson plans, after I ask a question, I have a series of answers that begins with like answers from the factual level that go down like series of understandings, go a little bit deeper and deeper. And it's not uncommon that after the class has kind of exhausted all like the first several layers of understanding, and I'm about to like give the profound connection there or the profound meaning, Clay will kind of raise his hand and steal my thunder and give like, oh, I was actually thinking about this. And it's usually basically verbatim what I wrote down on my notes. I'm like reading it as he's talking. It's a word for word there, but look forward to continuing to see Clay grow as a history scholar. Congrats, Clay.
The capstone project for Western Civilization 1 and 2 is a very long essay where you take a word and kind of track it through Western history and try to figure out what it means. And the students work on this the entirety of the 10th grade year, and then the best essay gets an award. Now, here's how this works. I submit the top 5 essays to a committee of 3 people who make the decision. And it should give you a sense of how good these papers were this year that I had to submit 7 because I couldn't break it down to 5. So I will announce the names of the 7 finalists as they occur to me, and then I'll tell you who won. Madeline Jane Welcher, Addie Huffman, Vivian Fink, Miles McNeese, Alec Carter, Ava Starr, and Elise King. Those are our 7 finalists. The winner will receive this copy of Jacques Bauzon's From Dawn to Decadence, 500 Years of Western Cultural Life, which, if they don't want to read it, they can use it as the counterweight for an elevator, I think. It should tell you how good these papers were that I did not get an answer from my committee until 9 o'clock last night as to which one of these was the best, and all 3 committee members told me they were having trouble deciding who it was. Ultimately, Vivian Fink is our winner. Congratulations to Vivian. Her paper tracked fate and the related concept of providence for all of Western history.
The science department is honored to give our end of the year awards. At ACA, science teachers try to instill the love of the beautiful and capitalize on students' innate senses of wonder in nature. In the science department, we use the act of marveling at our seemingly infinite and incredible world to develop curiosity and lead students to ask intentional and thoughtful questions. All of these award winners embody the sense of curiosity about science, which leads them to ask thoughtful questions. The first award is for the Faculty Choice Award for Science, and it goes to Flora Tyler. Flora's enthusiasm for science has been evident since I first met her in 9th grade. I nominated Flora for the governor's honors program for biology because I saw her desire to learn and understand science and her hard work. I've been fortunate to learn from Flora. Flora started the Natural Society, which plans events related around nature and science. She gathered our group to learn about trees from Trees Atlanta, and she taught us how to collect macroinvertebrates, identify them, and correlate their presence with the quality of the water of Peachtree Creek. Flora has been a loyal science ambassador for our Wonderfest and projects her excitement about science to all levels of the school. She made a poster about the ecologist, Dr. Suzanne Simmerd, who helps us understand that some trees called the mother trees are connected to the survival of many trees through the underground fungal networks. Our department and those of us who share a love of science have benefited from Flora's enthusiasm and her desire to share her talents. Flora, I look forward to seeing where your love of science and the environment leads you. Congratulations. Our winner for the Courage in Science Award goes to Celia Franklin. Celia, from Mr. Balkel. Courage is finding a way to do the right thing, the needed thing, the thing you are called to do, even though it is hard or scary. It means rising up to the challenge in front of you, even when there are reasons to be afraid or you believe you can't do it. Celia faces fears and challenges of her own, starting out in physics this year. It was not easy, and there were reasons for her to give up or give less than her best. But she found within herself the desire and reason to take each step in front of her. She was, as Winston Churchill put it, waged war with growing confidence and growing strength. She's a different person from August to now. Her growth is undeniable. Instead of weeping and gnashing of teeth, she has found joy. She has excelled in her knowledge of mastery of physics. She has found a subject worth studying, which interests her and teaches her to see the world differently. But most importantly, for overcoming her fears and excuses, she has received the real prize. She has found on the other side that she is the type of person who can face the trials of life and overcome them, and that is victory. I'll share that Celia is not afraid to share her love for science. She knows a lot about intriguing, complicated, and interesting aspects of living things. I always enjoy talking to Celia about some fascinating creature that she's telling me about. Celia was often the student in AP Biology to ask the interesting and intelligent questions that have had all of us thinking of the answers. I admire Celia's courage to think about science outside of what is just expected. She challenges us with her thought and she perseveres. Congratulations. And now for our winner for the Outstanding Student in Science is Ryan Panessa. So from Mrs. Huff, curiosity, tenacity, and astute analytical reasoning are three critical skills that successful scientists possess. Ryan consistently displays these and many other admirable qualities in his high school science classes. He is incredibly conscientious, hard worker. He has a deep understanding of the most difficult concepts. He asks curious and thoughtful questions in class. Ryan is very deserving of this year's Outstanding Student in Science Award. And I will echo what Ms. Huff says, teaching you biology and AP biology, that your understanding of the difficult concepts in biology is also very evident. And you humbly work hard and have followed through with all assignments with 100% effort. Congratulations, Ryans, on the Outstanding Student Science Award.
Hello. Let me first present the Teacher's Choice Award. It was really easy because this young lady has impressed all the teachers in the language department, having learned and studied both Spanish and Latin. Lily Patanium. Lily not only has done splendid work in Latin, but she just finished up her third year of Spanish, which is peculiar because she's only in her second year of high school. She skipped second year and had an independent study in Spanish next year, in the summer, and had Spanish 3 this year. Next year, she'll be taking Spanish 4, but then how's she going to fit in Latin 5? Well, we'll be doing independent study in Latin 5. So I don't know what she's going to do the following year. Congratulations on everything you've done so far. And then speaking strictly from the perspective of Latin, the award for Latin this year goes to Addie Huffman. I have heard it said that Latin is not easy. Addie would call that into question. Not only does she have 100 in the class, she would have 100 if I ramped up the level of difficulty 20%. Not only has she done beautifully in my class, she's also come before school to help tutor some of the students who are in the junior high, and a handful of you who can thank your passing grade. You can attribute your passing grade to the help that Addie has provided. Thank you very much and congratulations on excellent work, Addie.
The student receiving the Courage Award in foreign language, I'm pleased to announce is Nash Vogeltans. What makes a good language learner? Many people consider the mastery of foreign languages as a mark of uncommon intelligence, and I am inclined to agree. However, throughout second language acquisition literature, an elevated IQ is never mentioned as a prerequisite for success. Rather, the research suggests that personal habits and behaviors, not natural intellect alone, play a far more decisive role. For instance, a good language learner courageously takes every opportunity to practice in and outside of class, even at the risk of appearing foolish. A good language learner perseveres in consistent practice, especially when it starts to feel impossible. A good language learner honestly and humbly analyzes and learns from his linguistic errors. And a good language learner devises study techniques and mnemonic devices that help him to own or self-govern his acquisition process. Success in foreign language has far more to do with the exercise and practice of virtue than really some kind of innate or inborn intelligence. Nash Vogeltans truly has deserved this Courage Award. He's excelled in the virtues of good language learning, but he's also done so in the face of uncommon challenges with language, as well as an unrelenting football practice schedule. In spite of these, through his unrelenting work, his willing effort and his positive attitude, in spite of earning the nickname Estoy Tarde, Nash Vogeltans truly deserves the Courage in Foreign Language Award. Congratulations. The outstanding student in foreign language this year, I'm pleased to announce, is Miles McNeese. As I've mentioned before with my comments on a good language learner, Miles does as well embody all of these virtues in an excellent way. I could probably name 10 other Spanish students who embody these virtues as well, who are truly outstanding. Miles distinguished himself as being the only student thus far to score in the 99th percentile on the National Spanish exam, essentially beating out the whole country, which is a great thing. Well done. And he's also the first student, as far as I know, from ACA to be selected for the Governor's Honors Program in Spanish. This included multiple in-person interviews. He had to drive multiple hours to spend the night at this, in I believe, Statesboro, and then have this conversation list all in Spanish, all the questions in Spanish, interviews in Spanish. And that is just phenomenal. And I believe this is really his your second year taking Spanish. And that is just an incredible achievement. So congratulations, Mahavnis. Well done.
Hello. I'm Mr. McClatchy, and it is my honor to present the ACA Literature Awards for this spring. It's kind of a difficult thing to pin down what it means to study literature, because telling stories is one of the most basic things that we do. We're a storytelling species, and it can be hard to pin down something that is so fundamental to our nature. But at ACA, I think we privilege two things when we study literature. One is precision, and the other is gentleness. We try to increase the precision with which we read and use words. And we also try to do what an old teacher of mine called educating the nerves, which is kind of a bizarre phrase, but the more I've reflected on it, the more accurate it has seemed to me. Nerves are what we use to interface with the world, what we use to feel the world. And literature helps us feel and articulate the world more precisely. So the first of the three words, courage in literature, goes to Harrison Glasman. Harrison has approached me this year repeatedly to ask how he can improve his writing. Not for a grade, not for future grades, but simply because he wants to become more articulate. I taught Harrison in 9th grade, and his attitude back then was different. Harrison has turned himself into one of our best students because he understands that his education actually is a precious thing. And this year, he communicates in the way that he carries himself, speaks, does his homework, that he's not willing to waste a single day of his education. Congrats. Our Teacher's Choice Award in Literature goes to Leyland Tobin. I taught Leyland in 9th grade, and maybe the most boisterous class I've ever taught. And she and I both survived that. Leyland has always been a good student, but what has set her apart this year has been her power of observation. Leyland notices things. It might be an adjective in a poem. It might be a subtle shift in the teacher's tone of voice that only she notices. But whatever it is, Leyland has become adept in the art of noticing. She channels this skill into her classwork, and I hope she also channels it into her friendships, noticing and celebrating details of personality that nobody else would notice. She's a great student and a privilege to teach. Congrats, Leyland. And finally, our third award, the Excellence in Literature Award, goes to Vivian Stewart. I taught Vivian last year for an elective when she was in 10th grade, and she was so eager to learn and also argumentative. If a student disagreed with her in class, I thought, stop, you don't know what you're doing to yourself. This year, her approach has changed. She's pensive and has started wrestling with questions with which she'll probably never stop wrestling. She takes things really seriously. She looks at ideas directly without blinking. What we're thinking, this is too difficult. I don't want to think about this anymore. She looks at them directly. And this clarity of vision, I think, is really a kind of moral courage. She's a wonderful student of literature. Thank you, Vivian, and congrats.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Capelina Thomas, and I have the privilege of introducing the winner of the Senior Thesis Award this year. So for those of you who don't know, the seniors have been grappling with very challenging texts and topics this year. I would like to start off by reading the names of 8 students who either received a distinction, a high pass, or we just felt they particularly impressed us with their dedication to the project. So students, please stand up if I call your name. Sophia Abad, Sarah Adams, Howie Curry, Jose Gamanunez, Drew High School, Mary Kirshner, Meg Marshall, Mason Maynard, and Lauren Woods. And let's give these folks a round of applause. And I will now reveal that the winner of the Senior Thesis Award this year is Sophia Abad. We'll just stand here. So to say a few words about Sophia, I've known Sophia for a very long time, and I'm so impressed with the way that she has grown as a student of literature. I taught her in 7th grade, and seeing her now as a senior who has grappled with Moby Dick, among other challenging texts, has just been wonderful this year. I don't think there was a single day when I was in class with Sophia that she didn't ask me questions about her thesis and raise concerns that her thesis wasn't good enough. So it is with such pleasure that I announce Sophia as the winner. And I also give her this book that I have not read, but her advisor, Mr. McClatchy, recommended it. It's called A Swim in a Pond in the Rain. So congratulations, Sophia.
Good afternoon. I am Mr. Enriquez, and I will be presenting the Fine Arts Awards for today. First up is our Teacher's Choice Award, which will be going to Garrett Anderson. Who had a look of utter shock on his face when I said his name. And that's part of the point. It is an unfortunate reality that most people today think of the fine arts as being something that's closed off to all but the specially ordained. And that's not true, but it doesn't change the fact that that's the way it is. The miracle of human creativity is larger than any of us, and it belongs to all of us. Something that I've seen in Garrett this year is that he has been quietly and consistently cultivating his own craft and developing his skill and talent without any fanfare. But then instead of hiding it away, he actually has shared it with people. And it's that sharing that allows others to realize I might also have something to share in the fine arts. So thank you, Garrett, for that, and congratulations. Our Courage Award goes to Amira Jawanki. my visual art skills are lacking, so I will read what Ms. Collier-Johnston had to say about Mira. She said, creating art can be scary for some people because it does require a willingness to perform and possibly fail. Faced with such a daunting task, many find it easier to play it safe. But Mira doesn't look for what is going to be the easiest solution or the safest route. She has the courage to look for a challenge that will help her grow as an artist. Mira's artwork illustrates her love of the creative process and her courage to try new things. Congratulations. And finally, the Fine Arts Award for Outstanding Student goes to Nora Franklin. I had the privilege of teaching Nora all the way back when she was in second grade, which was an eternity ago. But most recently, she has been most under the tutelage of Miss Wiggin. And so here's what Miss Wiggin had to say. Over the course of this year alone, I have watched Nora blossom into a mature musician. She meets and conquers every musical challenge given to her with careful study and repetition. And she absolutely adores playing. You can see it in her approach to the instrument, sure, but she's the only high school student I know that audibly complains because she doesn't get to spend as much time practicing as she would like. I'm going to read that one again. That was beautiful. She audibly complains because she doesn't get to spend as much time practicing as she would like. Last I heard, her average was about 3 hours a day. If time management was completely up to her, I'm sure it would be more. Nora is not only a dedicated musician, spending hours daily with her instrument, but she has grown into a true leader. She is revered and respected by her fellow classmates, and her quiet but meaningful leadership is often called upon. One day recently, my camerata ensemble was working through a difficult passage in preparation for our spring performance. A particular section in the violin part needed to sound more cohesive, and they were struggling with some intonation issues. Thinking out loud, Ms. Wiggin asked, what could we do to get this right? Without hesitation, one of her classmates said something to the effect of, Ms. Wiggin, we need Nora. She has such a gentle style when it comes to stuff like this. Can she work with us on it? She could do a sectional with us, and it would help so much. Nora was not present at the time, so she didn't hear that comment. If that isn't a statement about what being a leader at ACA is all about, I don't know what is. Congratulations, Nora.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. How we doing? First and foremost, let's beautiful people, let's clap it up for the parents here, guys. All of our students, let's clap it up for our parents. To our teachers, that's done a phenomenal job this year, you know, who presented. Also, let's give a warm welcome to our teachers who coach as well. For those who are student athletes and our students, let's show love to our teachers who coach as well. Let's clap it up for them. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are such an inspiration. And as we come, you know, to the end of the year, and we think about things that, you know, that we've accomplished, the success that we've had, and we look on to the next year, and we get stressed out sometimes that some of our seniors, well, all of our seniors are leaving and things like that. But it's so important to give yourself some grace and opportunity where sometimes when you you feel tired. I think for me, when I feel exhausted at the end of the year, I look at what we've done over the years, and during the season, I look at our students who juggle being a student athlete, making sure their grades are up, and the things that we require them to do, countless days, and going to this facility and that facility. Our home games on the soccer team is usually 40 minutes away, going places, and just thinking about those things and thinking about the commitments. When I think about that, I say to myself, I shouldn't be tired at all. Because you guys are an inspiration for me. For those who actually play two sports, multi-sports, and different, going different quarters, that's phenomenal as well. Over 60% of our students participate in sports, and that's huge. It's like every other kid participate in sports in some type of capacity. So let's clap it up for that as well. Before we get into our 4 Cavaliers of the year, I do want to acknowledge specific individuals that participate in 3 sports. 3 sports is crazy. So, in a good way, I would like all individuals to stand, and I want you to just stay there and stand and think about it. For all middle school and high school students, I need you to stand if you play in 3 sports, in the fall, winter, and spring. Please stand now. Please stand now. Don't sit down. Okay, so you think, no, stand up, stand up. I need you to stand up this time, this whole time. To think about where we navigate you to every quarter, and we appreciate everyone. As this year come to an end, we want to acknowledge a few student athletes today as we name this year Iron Cavaliers and our 4 Cavaliers of the year after. All athletes at ACA know how hard it is to compete at a high level while also maintaining a high level of academic responsibility. Each new season can be challenging, stressful, exhausting, frustrating. And imagine doing this 3 times in 1 year. That playing multiple sports as a scholar athlete corresponds to improved health and wellness, improved athletic performance, improved leadership skills and teamwork, better attendance in school, and better in overall academic performance. We also know it requires strength to take on this challenge 3 times. Our Iron Cavaliers are the individuals who have embraced it. At this time, I would like everyone to show your love to all of our Iron Cavaliers. Let's clap it up for them, show your love and embrace them. I could point out all of the sports. These individuals have displayed tremendous effort, perseverance, and grit while navigating the obstacles of each semester as they give their best in sports and academics. Everyone you see standing is a recipient of a new annual award, the Iron Cavalier. High school and middle school students who compete for 3 teams at ACA will be acknowledged, just like our quarterly honor roll and principal list. We have this annual list of Iron Cavaliers to recognize our student athletes. To all of you guys, congratulations. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for your effort. We look to continue to grow with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Everyone, I'm here to announce the Middle School Boys Scholar Athlete of the Year, and it is Ian Burke. Yay! He's quick. Three things stand out about Ian. The first is his curiosity. As a student in the classroom and as a runner, he asks great questions. He's got me before practice drawing graphs about lactate threshold at different running paces and saying, I think this is how it works. And in the classroom, he's always asking a question that's going to take our discussion further. And it deepens my understanding, his understanding, and all of ours. But what drives him is his desire to know, to learn the true. And we love that about him. The second thing that stands out is his positivity and his belief. I feel like the first time I met him, he basically bounded down the hallway to say hello. And we had that experience when he ran in the high school region cross country meet. He ran alongside the varsity guys, and he just had this endless energy. If you told him, hey, Ian, why don't you speed up? Oh, I didn't really think about that. He just sped up. We went faster. He totally believed he could do anything. And that's a tremendous virtue of his personality. He also, his belief, he set a very ambitious goal this year to run sub 5 in the mile, which is a significant barrier for a lot of runners. He had only run 5:40 before. So he was expecting a 40-second improvement. That's a massive improvement. But he believed that he could do it. But what made it possible is the third thing, and I think it's what stands out most about him. It's one thing to believe that you can do something like that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna break 5. It's another to do what it takes. And he did it because he's a hard worker. Whatever he does, he puts in his best effort, because he believes it's worth it. When there's a worthy goal, he goes after it with his whole heart, with that energy, that enthusiasm, and curiosity. So he was attending high school practices this track season, and during workouts, which he accused me of designing them intentionally to torture. They're not designed to torture, but to make adaptations. But he did them, and he improved. And in school, what his teachers have said about him is, and what I've seen reaped the benefits of, what our class has reaped the benefits of, is his hard work from last year to this year, and how much you've improved in the classroom. You don't even realize. Your teachers were raving about the progress you've made. And so at the middle school state championship, he finally did it. He broke 5 minutes in the mile, which is a middle school record. And we look forward to having him. I look forward to having him as a teacher. In my class. And I look forward to coaching him next year. He's not going to teach me, but he actually will. His curiosity ties in. But we look forward to seeing him and everything he goes on to do. And I think the guys all know that once he learns how to pace and as he grows, we're all in trouble because he's going to be pretty fast. So congratulations, Ian Burke.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am presenting the middle school girls. We're calling this the Cavalier of the Year, actually, which is a pretty cool name. Cavalier of the Year. Sorry, someone was pointing at someone and it just distracted me. I was very confused because that person is neither in middle school nor a girl. So there's that. This student has worked incredibly hard for the last 2 years, and they are a 3-sport athlete. They've been a 3-sport athlete, and they've yet maintained an incredible high standard in their academics. And the Cavalier of the Year for middle school girls is Caroline Phelps. So Caroline has maintained over a 96 or higher in every class all year, from the beginning in August all the way till now, even with all 3 sports that she was playing. She has a near 100% all year in Latin with a rigorous Mr. Hawkins. But these things are just merely statistics. Caroline, with the things that matter, that's where she's strongest. In consistency, hard work, a great attitude, and curiosity and wonder in the classroom that burst forth with her questions and her writing. In fact, just recently I learned that she was reading a book for a debate, just apropos of nothing other than a recommendation by Mrs. Spangler about nihilism, just randomly. So that's kind of crazy. The athletic side, she's a 3-sport athlete in cross country, basketball, and soccer, and she is an incredible teammate. Again, those things that matter carry over from the classroom to the competition or practice or whatever it is. Consistency, hard work, a great attitude, and perseverance. She was on a championship winning team, and she was just one of those people that you could always count on to do her job. And again, that's in the classroom and in athletics. At the end of the day, you always know what you're going to get with Caroline, whether in the classroom or on the field: humility, courtesy, courage, and perseverance. She's a great representative for our school, both in the classroom and the fields of competition.
So I will be giving the Male Cavalier of the Year recipient award, and this will be the first award that will have a coin associated with it. The rest of the awards, the recipients will also receive our coin as well. This year, our Male Cavalier of the Year is Boyd Balsley. Come on, Boyd. When I think of Boyd, I think Cavalier of the Year. I think it's a very apropos name for this award for you, Boyd. You know, it's really hard sometimes when you're writing words down to try to sum up your admiration for a player, a student. And there's just no words that are on this page that can adequately express what I think about you, what your teachers think of you, and what your classmates think of you. Boyd, we often talk in class, and some of you I've talked individually about building a character that no matter what you're doing, do it with hard work, engagement, and effort. Boyd is the model of this. I think the best thing I could say is that if you wanted to model your high school career after someone, Boyd would be a great example for you to follow. That would be a great thing for me to say. Boyd exhibits this character every day. Mr. Voppel, I thought, said it well. Boyd is faithful to the high standard that is given by his coaches and teachers and strives for the standard daily through hard work. Boyd has a lot of natural gifts and talents, but that's not why he's standing up here today. He's standing up here because he doesn't rely on those things. He puts in the work every single day, and not in pursuit of personal gain, but for gain of the whole. Here's a couple examples. Boyd's probably the strongest natural attribute is his intelligence. I was sitting with him and Miller just was gushing about how smart Boyd is, and he's probably the smartest guy that he knows. And I hear this all the time about Boyd's intellect. He's unbelievably smart. But he doesn't let just his brightness carry him through his classes. He doesn't allow that to allow him not to work hard to prepare for class. He works extremely hard in his class. He's engaged. Mrs. Henry told me earlier today that she often relies on Boyd to start the conversation in class or to add something profound to the conversation. And doesn't see this as, again, his personal gain or to put the spotlight on him, but he sees it as a responsibility. It's his responsibility being in that class to be prepared, to be a participant, to engage, because it makes the whole better. And that's Boyd. He wants to make the whole better. He pursues this high standard, not just for himself, but because of what it means for everybody that's around him. Now, sometimes I find myself like being cautious because I don't want to give you a backhanded compliment, and what these next two are going to probably sound like that. But it's because, well, I'll get to why that can be, but don't take it that way, okay? So cross country, Boyd has some natural gift for running, but it's probably not his strongest gift, right? And he's probably not, it's not as natural as it is some of the other guys on the team. But it doesn't keep him from working extremely hard. And it doesn't mean that he's not an extremely valuable part of that team. Mr. Voppel, I think, would testify that if it wasn't for Boyd, they would not have won the state championship, because it takes 5 strong runners to do that, each doing their part. And you did your part. And not only did you do your part for yourself, you also pushed your other teammates. Mr. Voppel thought that Mason Maynard ran better because of the hard work that you put in. And again, he doesn't do that for his own self-pursuit. Boyd may not ever win the race, but he wins because the whole wins. And that's what you pursue. You pursue the excellence for the whole. Same goes in basketball. Boyd has some natural ability in basketball. He's got more than he even gives himself credit for. But he's not the most natural. But you are still unbelievably important to the whole. And every single day he works harder than anybody else. You can count on Boyd to show up and give his very best effort in every single practice. He never takes a practice off. And it's because he's shooting for something bigger than him. He values being a part of the team, and he values when the team does better. Now, I said that sometimes those can sound like backhanded compliments because we tend to praise the person that wins the race. We tend to praise the person that makes all straight A's. We tend to praise the person who scores the most points. Sometimes we'll say, oh, you know, that good team player, he's really valuable. But we don't really, in society, like really praise that person. But I'm here today to praise that person, to tell you without Boyd, the cross-country team wouldn't be what it is. The basketball team would not be what it is without you. And that doesn't come easy. And here's the thing I'm trying to drive home. Boyd has worked hard, not for his own personal self, but because he believes in the whole. All right, let me see if I can find my place on the paper here. So I've focused a lot on Boyd's hard work, which is unbelievable. And Boyd, your character of humility and kindness also shows through. Boyd has the admiration of all of his peers, which is an unbelievably strong comment to say in high school, right? To have I think every peer in here that knows Boyd would have good things to say about Boyd. And what an admirable thing to say about you, Boyd. I'm going to finish up in an odd way, and I'm going to encourage you in this way, Boyd, okay? Boyd, next year I want you to continue to look for how you can grow and keep challenging yourself. But next year, I want you to take time to be proud of yourself, to look at all that you've done and give yourself a pat on the back. You've earned it. You deserve it. You sometimes work so hard, you get so focused, and you're so serious. I just want you to enjoy what you've done. So we'll be all reminding you of that this coming year. You deserve everything that you've earned, and it's through your hard work and your character. Boyd Balsley is our Cavalier of the Year.
Coach, I don't know if I can follow that, man. This next award is dear to me, and I'm just gonna call the name out and talk about it a little bit. Let's give it up for Reese Perkins. Reese Perkins, can you step up? Before I talk about how much pressure we put on Reese as far as me coaching her and what she represents, I would like for her parents to stand up. Let's clap it up for them. I started coaching Reese in the sixth grade, and I know we're providing an award for her, but it takes a village to raise a child, and whether it's on the floor or off the floor. And I just appreciate the support that you guys have given myself and coaches here the opportunity to mold her to become this young lady that she is now. And I know sometimes it's hard for parents to have their child go through obstacles and trust individuals with their child. I want to appreciate you guys for never, having an issue with me treating her like she's my own. I really appreciate that. So kudos to you guys. Reese, Coach Dustin said, you always show up. Your work ethic is impeccable. You motivate your teams on the floor and off the floor. Reese do play Reese sports. She did run track. That made her 4, but we had to tell her, hey, Reese, you can't run as many as, or you can't participate in as many because it's full load. And I don't want to forget anything, because when I put a name on a list and ask some coaches to give me feedback, I got a ton, and I don't want to take up too much time, but the soccer coach, Coach Holt, said Reese's journey on the soccer team is one of courage and perseverance. Even though she has never played soccer before, when she was a freshman, she decided to join that year not only a new sport, but to play goalie, perhaps the scariest position on the field. This year, not only did she decide to play again despite having other commitments to work around, she also tried a new position. Even though she was quick to criticize herself, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, she shows exceptional understanding of the game that she has only just begun to learn. On top of all that, she is quietly cheerful and joyful, and a joyful presence on the team and a delight to be around. Now, Reese wasn't going to play soccer this year because of a host of activities and sports that she participated in. And she thought about it. She went back and forth. Obviously, she met with her coaches, and she talked about how commitment was important to her and how much she wanted to be there to support her teammates. Now, you think about a person like me that was in high school, and the coach gave me the opportunity, I would probably try to manipulate the situation where I'm showing up to practices when I can. Reese didn't do that. There's a gentleman who used to coach her. His name is Coach Reed. I may be Reed right now, but I'm trying to speak about in third person. He said, Reese is one of those players that he can rely on. Reese was also someone he gave the burden of responsibility to. When the team didn't play well, Reese heard it from him. When the team was struggling, Reese heard it from him. When they weren't gelling or needed to improve chemistry, it was Reese's fault. Reese heard it from him. When we lost games, Reese heard it from him. When she needed to power up, when she was down low, and she was being too nice to her opponent, and she scored, Reese heard it from me. Now that she's honored as Cavalier of the Year, Reese heard it from me. What is there else to say? What you're going to hear from me is now is how much we appreciate your effort, how much you embrace triumph, how you don't break and give up, how you don't complain and roll with the punches. You embody what coaches value in people, not just athletes. Congratulations, Reese Perkins, Cavalier of the Year.
I'm back. You don't have to clap. We don't have to clap. All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, for the Virtue Award, the virtue is perseverance that we're focusing on. This is a really important award, and I'm going to hold the name back, and at the end, I want y'all to stand and clap for this person. So as I go through this, you can even try to guess who it is. Good luck. So perseverance is a really important virtue. It requires grit, courage, toughness. Some argue that this is the most important virtue as it allows one to continue pursuing the other virtues and kind of holds things together. And so really it is an honor to present this award for this student. I have known this student since she was in 7th grade, and I've only seen her grow as a student and member of the ACA community. In the face of challenges and anxieties, her determination and diligence has never waned. She has consistently been one of the hardest working members of her class, and it has been a joy to watch one of my first students at ACA grow in both intellect and virtue. One of her teachers had this to say: she had a hard time adjusting to physics at the beginning of the year with the unique challenges of a new class and a new subject. She cares deeply about doing her best and wants to succeed at everything she does. So it was hard for her to feel like she was struggling with the material or the class dynamic. She was often worried about upcoming assessments and was upset when her score on a problem set or daily quiz wasn't good enough in her eyes. Despite her fears and worries and questions, she never quit or coasted. She has chosen to work harder and to believe that she can improve even before she saw the fruits. With patient, faithful endurance, she has progressed bit by bit. I hope she can see just how much she has grown and how confident and capable she is. I want to echo these last couple of things and say that I hope she continues being determined and diligent in everything that she does. I hope that she continues to show others how to persevere in the face of obstacles. And I hope she continues being a great example for our school and for her classmates. And the student winning the Perseverance Award is Abigail Cleary.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mrs. Henry, and I have the privilege of presenting today's Leadership Award. I'm going to do something similar to Mr. Stone because I think leadership is something that can be easily misunderstood, especially in a high school setting. I think sometimes leadership translates easily into an in-charge award or someone who holds the most positions award. Now, to be clear, the winner of this award this award does hold a lot of leadership positions and is very involved in the school. But what distinguishes this person as a leader is her virtue and her orientation towards doing what is good. I think some of the best leaders that I've ever had the privilege of working under are the kinds of leaders who are so compelling in their beliefs and their desire to improve things and make things better. And they're not always the ones that are the loudest or the most in charge, or the ones calling every single shot. And I think this student is the perfect embodiment of that kind of leadership. She's a student that I had heard a lot about before I had the opportunity to teach her for the first time this year. Her reputation definitely precedes her. She is an incredibly diligent student. She is an incredibly diligent athlete. She is an incredibly diligent member of SGA. I really don't think there's an area of our campus that she has left untouched. And I think that is just such a deep reflection of her love for this place and her unwillingness to let it be mediocre. She just wants to bring out the best in this school and in her classmates. And I would think it's fair to say even in her teachers. And so I'm really, really excited to present this award to Miss Crosby Roberts.
How are you feeling about this, Mr. Franklin? You want to try it? All right, I've asked for something short from Mr. Franklin that is kind of experimental here. So if you are a member of the select choir and would come forward to the front side here. I asked Mr. Franklin if it was possible for this choir to perform this piece ad hoc without having actually prepared for this event. They prepared this piece. These are some of my favorite. The lyrics of the song are some of the most important sentences to me in the world. They were in my wedding vows, and they've learned to sing them. And so this has got to be just purely indulging myself here. But I think it'd also be a treat for all of you to hear "Set Me as a Seal." Thank you guys for indulging me. This year, we've talked a lot about two concepts, self-transcendence and attention. And today, I'm really thankful, students, especially to y'all, for demonstrating both of these and just your attention and excitement about your colleagues as they've won awards. It's beautiful every time I see it. I'm so thankful that we have a place where you are excited and willing to celebrate each other as we, the teachers, are about to be, and I hope you will join us, because the final thing we have to do in the ceremony, turn up the volume. Just tell me to speak up, Pedro, that's okay. Is to finish the ceremony to name the 2023-2024 Upper School Teacher of the Year. Being the Teacher of the Year comes with some benefits and with one key responsibility. On the one hand, we buy the Teacher of the Year a beautiful old book that's in this bag. It came in the mail just barely in time, about 15 minutes ago. And we invite them to attend the National Symposium for Classical Education in the spring, all expenses paid. Also, this role comes with the responsibility of giving the charge the following year at graduation, which Mr. Franklin will fulfill this weekend. Now, you may have noticed, I know a lot of students have noticed, the new tradition that we are starting this year. As so many asked before this, who are the shoes for? The Teacher of the Year going forward, starting today, is going to receive a new pair Cavalier colorway Nikes. And these should be worn every Spirit Day for the rest of the teacher's career. We have all 7 of these pairs up here because we didn't want to leave out past winners. And so if you are a past winner, Mr. Franklin, Mr. Holt, Mr. Clausen, Mrs. Huff, and Mrs. Flynn, come down to the front. And stay, grab and say. I asked some of your spouses your shoe size. I asked some friends to sneak a look at a pair of your shoes, and in some cases, stay up here, stay up here. In some cases, I just straight up asked you, what is your shoe size? Just forget that I asked you this. So please remain up here, and you can join me in receiving this year's winner, whom I will name imminently. Getting to present this award is one of my favorite privileges of this job, and I look forward to it all year. Over the last few weeks, though, I've also been reminded it's one of the greatest challenges of the job, because as you would have heard today in just these presentations, there is a huge number of incredible choices. There are a huge number of incredible choices for an award like this on our faculty. Oh, good, you're doing what I hoped you'd do. Yeah. This year, as you will know, I sought out help from you all and your families to help me make this decision, and you responded. I received nearly 100 nominations in total for Teachers of the Year from parents and from faculty after the call for nominations about a month ago. I'm very happy to report broadly that every single teacher in the upper school is represented in these nominations, which I think is an amazing sign. I'm happy that you all appreciate this faculty as much as I do. In the end, the feedback was specifically helpful in making this choice because one teacher's name kept coming up in the nominations. In fact, this teacher received 1 out of every 3 nominations that were sent to me. Maybe even more impressively, this teacher received a nomination from a family in every grade 7 through 12. Such has been this teacher's impact over the last many years. Maybe even more importantly than this, the teacher received nominations from 9 colleagues across the faculty and staff, showing that their work is admired by their peers. This teacher is obsessed with teaching. There's rarely a moment during a school day when this teacher is not teaching in some form. Though this teacher seeks strong relationships with students outside the classroom, everything starts in the class. This teacher is borderline, maybe not borderline, fanatical about delivering the curriculum deepening student knowledge, shaping student habits, and especially forming student virtue. This teacher succeeds in all this by giving abundantly, giving time, telling personal stories, working at all hours of the school day and well after it. These last many years have been a continual act of self-giving for this teacher. This teacher's identity has become deeply linked to that of this school, and our identity as a school has now been powerfully shaped by this teacher. This is an odd anecdote to end with, but I'll finish by speaking about a day earlier this semester when this teacher was not on campus. I kept forgetting this teacher was out of town. I went to observe a class and bewilderingly found a sub in the room. I walked by the court outside at lunchtime and thought, wait, why is no one playing basketball with the 7th and 8th graders? All this made me think of George Bailey and what the angel Clarence says to him near the end of It's a Wonderful Life, a classic in its own right. Clarence says, strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many others. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole. That's how it felt on campus that day, with an absence in the shape of this year's Teacher of the Year. So, a place we've been critically shaped. We're so thankful for his presence. Your 2023-2024 Teacher of the Year is Mr. Stone.
Now it's really loud. I just want to say thank you to everyone. That was amazing, Mr. Sheps. It's been an incredible year. I feel like I've taught nonstop, but it's been amazing. And to see so many of you out here who I have taught, it's just amazing. And many of you who I taught a long time ago got to win awards this year, and I could not be prouder of them.